Hi, all, and welcome back to a world of bookish adventures. My name is Shannon.
And I'm Amanda, and we are excited to share with you today's podcast. This week, Shannon will be sharing her journey back in time when she spent the day living as royalty in the Baroque era, and she did not even need a TARDIS to get there.
So that would have been so cool.
Right?
That would have been so cool. Anyway, you're right.
How
I
did
didn't
you
need a
get
time.
there?
I needed a plane, a car, and a train to get
Okay.
there, but I
All
didn't need
right,
a
fair.
TARDIS. So this bookish adventure, guys, this one is going to be a little different because technically this location isn't about a library or a book specifically, but it kind of is about a book genre, this idea of history and fictional history and such like that. And it is a genre that many people love. And I am speaking about the Palace of Versailles in France, which if you've ever been there or you've ever seen pictures, you know it's just incredible. It probably could be a bookish adventure just in and of itself. But the history, the clothing, the drama, everything that goes around with this time period all makes for great stories. And the fact that many of them happened in real life just adds to the fun of it. So, as I've been sharing along in this first season, I've been sharing a lot of my adventures from my Europe trip. And this particular adventure, this is the one that started it all.
Okay, well, let's find out where all of this craziness started.
Yeah. So about, I don't know, May or so of 2023, right? About a month or so before I was getting ready to head over, my friend who I was meeting messaged me and said that she was able to get us tickets to the Grand Mask Ball that happens once a year at the Versailles and wanted to know if I wanted to go. And I was like, yes, I absolutely could not pass this up. So I flew out on a Thursday from Atlanta in Georgia and flew to Frankfurt got there Friday morning. My friend, she picked me up from the airport and we headed right to the train station to catch the 2-hour fast train from Ramstein, Germany to Paris. So that's what I was talking about. I had to take a plane and then a car and then a train.
My goodness. Okay.
There. And once we got to Paris, we hopped on their metro and we took that to the Versailles. And I'll admit, I was quite a bit jet lagged, but it was such an amazing experience that kind of made up for the jet lag and feeling really, really tired.
Okay. Well, what made up for it? Tell us how awesome it was.
So I'm going to, but before I get too far into the ball, as always, Amanda and I like to share a little bit of the history about the places we talk about. So a little bit of history about the Versailles. As we probably all know, it was made famous by the infamous ruler, King Louis XIV, because the history of the Versailles is just linked to him. And although the location existed for centuries before he came into reign, it is really credited to him because of his love for the area. So King Louis XIV came to the Versailles for the very first time on a hunting trip in August of 1607, and he just fell in love with it. He fell in love with the forest and the meadows and everything that surrounded it. Had a lot of game, which he loved when he went hunting. And when he was crowned king in 1610, he went back about 10 years later to go visit the Versailles. And he realized the love he had for it was still there and it was just growing stronger. And it was really great situated between his primary residence and Paris. So it was a really nice in between of those two areas. So he would start going out there again. He would go in the woods and hunting for pheasants and boars and stags and just enjoying life. And in 1623, he decided, you know what? I need to build a hunting lodge. I need somewhere where I could stay the night while he was out exploring the beautiful woods of the Versailles. So that's exactly what he did. He built a small country residence And according kind of, the gossip of the day, Amanda, because, every generation has to have
Of
their
course.
gossip, they would talk about that. Well, a mere gentleman would not have been overly proud of the construction. So his initial building that he bought, everybody really just kind of made fun of him for it.
They made fun of him for making a hunting lodge. I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, they just said that he shouldn't be proud of the construction of it. They said
Okay.
it wasn't what a king should be staying in.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Okay.
So he decided, fine, I'm going to rebuild it. And in 1631, he started construction and it started to lay the basis of the extravagant palace that we know today. So the palace is Baroque and the Baroque theme, and Baroque is overindulgence. So whenever you think of Baroque, just think of the most extra you can ever think of. This period, the Baroque period, was an era that originated in Italy and then flourished everywhere. And it embraced paintings and sculptures and architecture and decorative arts and music and cultural and artistic styles that emphasize dramatic, exaggerated, and clear and easy interpreted detail. And if you've ever seen pictures, and if you're on our YouTube, you're seeing pictures as I'm talking of the Versailles, that's exactly what it is. It's dramatic, it's exaggerated, from their gilded walls and painted ceilings to the famous mirror room, pristine gardens, and over the top decorations. It is the Baroque period in and of itself. And when you think of that, you just have to automatically think of the Versailles.
Yeah, it is. If you're looking at these pictures, they are definitely extra. They're just, you can tell somebody is making a statement, and I mean, it's gorgeous, but you definitely, everything Shannon described, it is there to be seen and appreciated, and you got to check it out.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm not going to get into the whole history because there's a lot there and we're not a history podcast, but I felt like it was important just to touch a little bit on that. But jumping forward to this year, the Grand Mass Ball is an event that is held once a year at the Versailles. This year, 2023, was its 11th year, and every year they have a theme. And so the theme kind of speaks to the way the ball looks. And so this year's theme was Space Versailles. And for those of you that went along with my ACOTAR adventure, this theme was right up my alley because it took us through a journey through time and space to bring us closer to the solar stars and its kings. So I love space to begin with. And then with my love of the books and the night court, I just could not have asked for a better theme.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I've been dying to ask you this for months. Where on earth did you even find that dress?
Oh, so the dress. Yes, let's talk about the dress. Believe it or not, because I had such a short time to get the dress, I found it on Amazon. I could not believe, and on YouTube, you're seeing the dress. I could not believe I found it on Amazon. A lot of people that will go to costume shops in Paris and in the surrounding areas, and even in Versailles. They have a lot of rental costume shops. Like, so if you go there early, you can rent costumes. So there's lots of different ways. But yeah, I found mine on Amazon. So there you go. I guess you can get anything you want on Amazon.
I guess you really can. So her dress really is cool. Like when she put it on, I was like, oh, that must have been something she got special in Europe. No, apparently not. Amazon. It is a really neat dress, though. You got to see it.
It is great. And as we're talking, you are required to dress the part in order to be
Oh,
allowed
darn.
into the event. You have to dress the part. So you have to dress in a Baroque costume. You need the dress or, the pantsuit or whatever you want to wear. You need your wigs. You even have to wear a mask. Masks are mandatory for a majority of the night. Now, as the night went on, a lot of the masks started coming off and nobody seemed to care. But at the beginning and getting entrance into the event, you have to be dressed the part, which was really fun. And they have checkpoints where they make sure that you are dressed according to the standards. And on the website, which we'll share with you guys, they even say you have to dress the part or you're not admitted. Doesn't matter if you have a ticket or not. So definitely the outfit you wear, you want it to be in that Baroque style. And as I shared, and those on YouTube are seeing, my dress combined the feel of the night court from Akatar and space. It was black and it had tones of gold and starry swirls throughout it. And it was just the right fit for a look of night dancing with the space court. Couldn't have asked for anything better.
Seriously, like I said, I thought she had it made specially there, and I've been waiting. I've been waiting to put her on the spot and say, "Where did you get this dress?" Just to find out from Amazon. But okay,
Amazon.
got my
Yeah.
answer.
It's a thing.
It's a
So when
thing.
you so when you first get there, you get access into the garden night show. So at the Versailles itself, you can purchase tickets to get into the gardens. And the gardens are just amazing. Again, for those on YouTube, you're seeing pictures. If you're not on YouTube and you listen to us on a podcast, just imagine English gardens, Baroque gardens, fields of paths and roses and flowers and hedges, all perfectly created garden, which was pristine for picture taking. Amanda, I will tell you, so many pictures were taken in the beautiful gardens that they had. And then you get to walk around and just pretend that you are in that era and you're out for an evening stroll with your friends or your significant others, just like they did at that time. And they ended the night with a huge fireworks show. And there were miles and miles of long paths that had these high garden walls. And it almost became like a maze. And it was really cool because you never knew where a path would take you. You could take a path, and sometimes it would be a dead end. You'd have to turn around and walk all the way back. But then sometimes they would have these little alcoves and beautiful gardens. And one garden had like these step layers of candles and flowers with like mist around, and it almost felt like you were being transported to another time. So it was just kind of cool wandering around, never really knowing what the path was going to inspire or show you.
So I'm looking at some of your pictures while we're talking here. I see like there's some with fountains that just huge and beautiful. Definitely seeing lots of different landscaping, but I see one with bubbles. What was the bubbles about?
So the bubbles are definite, and I think I made a TikTok video. If so, I'll play it on YouTube. But they had a bubble machine set up. And so you could take pictures and video behind it. So the bubble machine is kind of up high. You're seeing like the fountains and stuff below, and we're kind of higher. So you could stand up with overlooking the gardens behind you with bubbles floating all around you. And it's just a great picture spot.
Yeah, it is. It looks very magical indeed. It's just I was wondering what that was about. But yeah, so hopefully that'll make it onto our YouTube and you can see the fountain and the landscaping and just so many people. I said looks like there's kids there as well. Yeah, looks like an amazing experience.
And that was really interesting, Amanda. So as you're seeing, there's families, there's all the people that are just dressed in regular normal clothes. They're joining it, and nowhere that at least that I saw was any signage about the ball.
Hmm.
And because the ball was held a little bit off the garden, and there was a point, like my friends and I were walking around, and literally we couldn't take 5 steps without somebody stopping us. I mean, I am in so many people's vacation pictures,
That's
Amanda. It's
amazing.
just not even funny. And we were taking pictures and video. And then somewhere through the night, I kind of went, do you think they think we're actors? Like, the Versailles pays people to dress up in Baroque costume to make it feel real, because I don't know if they knew about the ball because I didn't see any signs, and they just see all of us in costume, period costume, walking around. So I wonder if they think they like we were employees or something like that.
That's amazing.
It was a lot of fun. I definitely felt like a celebrity that night. I won't lie. It was
Yeah.
really cool. All the people wanting to get their pictures taken with us. So once the fireworks show ended, which was about 10:30, because of the sun doesn't really even start setting till much later there. So the fireworks show ended about 10:30 or so. The ball actually started around 11 o'clock at night. So we started to make our way to the Orange room, and I'm sure I mutilated that in French, but it's so cool. It's off the side. You had to walk down. Think about, oh, I don't know, Pride and Prejudice, or any, I know that's not Baroque, but any of these period movies where you see these large manor homes with these incredibly huge steps that lead up and down, that you see them walking up and down. It's exactly like it was. So we had to walk down all of these steps as we were heading to the room. And the room that the ball was held in, the reason they called it the Orange Room was that's where they would keep the orange and the lemon trees during the winter to protect them from the cold, which,
Oh, wow.
and I guess still today, they still utilize that room to put the plants in when the weather turns cold. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That is. That's very interesting.
So the Grand Mask Ball is basically a huge rave party that lasts until the sun comes up. It has music, entertainment, dancers, performance, light shows. This entire space is transformed. And from the moment you first walk in, you truly do feel like you've been transported back in time and living your bookish dreams. So, as I said, you're walking down the steps, you're heading over after you do another check in, you walk down this long path. And now by this point, it's close to 11 o'clock at night. It's really dark. And the long path is lined up with those lemon trees and orange trees and other trees. And they have twinkle lights all down. So it's quiet and it's dark, and the stars and the twinkle lights. And it's this very peaceful, kind of almost meditative that you're feeling until you get to the end of the path. And when you get to the end of the path, you make a right to turn into the building, and your senses, it's almost like shock, because you're
Oh, wow.
coming from this quiet room to this space that just becomes alive with, like I shared, music, lights, performers. As you walk in, you're welcomed into this room with music and the blues and the pinks of the lights, and they have like performers all over the place that are welcoming you in. You could go get your picture taken with them. They're dancing, they're doing like Vogue dance and doing in different positions. And again, on YouTube, you're seeing the pictures, because this was a space theme. They're all in these very kind of almost like 60s iconic space clothes, as I guess as I would characterize them, lots of points and sharp things and stuff like that. And it was it was definitely a shock to the senses, walking in and just being surrounded by all amazing sensory overload experiences.
I'm sure it must have been, although it's hard for me to put together rave and Baroque, but also I raves in my head are so over the top and extra anyway. I can also see that working.
It did, because it was interesting. So everybody in the room is period costumes. So they're all in the big dresses with the huge wigs and the masks. So as you're looking around the room, you feel like you are transported back to in time. You're living this Baroque book fantasy because everybody is in dress. But then there are, the performers, and they have the DJ and the music, and every 30 minutes they would have a group of dancers and performers come onto the stage, and then they would perform, I don't know, maybe for 5 or 10 minutes, and then after that they would have about 20 minutes of music and stuff like that, and then the performers would come back, and that's kind of how it went all night. And They had rooms of food and drink, and depending on the ticket, there's different ticket platforms. The one that we had gave us access to seating, which was nice. If you had a ticket that did, and it was seating close to where the stage was of the performers. If there was a ticket ahead of us that was a little closer to the stage, and then the tickets that were below us, there was like an outside area, a big grassy outside area where people could rest and kind of get off their feet and relax a little bit. So I will say, Amanda, I have a newfound respect and appreciation for the women of that day because it was hot. It was
Mhm.
so hot. I was there mid-June and they do not have AC.
Yeah.
So it was so hot. So and I, I kind of realized the more you spun, the breeze would come up underneath your dress. And I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe that's why they moved and twirled so much was, to get the breeze going. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was amazing. And my costume, like I shared, totally loved. The wig, I'll be honest, I really wasn't the easiest thing once you got hot. Once your head, started getting hot and sweaty, the wig was kind of hard. And I'll admit, a couple hours into the party, the mask came off.
I'm sure.
So, but a lot of people did the same thing, and they didn't seem to care at that point. But it was amazing, and not my normal type of reading. But I will say that after I experienced this event, experienced being at the Versailles and the gardens and the ball, it really made me think that maybe I would appreciate it because being able to walk the grounds and attend the parties, you just couldn't help but feel like you were transported back into these historical fiction books.
Well, I definitely enjoy historical fiction. So, and I cosplay anyway at cons and whatever. So this to me, this sounds like it would have been super fun. Not in the heat, you know. I could see how this would be a little bit of a challenge just from the heat perspective, but definitely reading historical fiction is something I enjoy. So maybe that's something I'll have to help you out with. Just be like, here's some recommendations. Enjoy.
I would love, and even our listeners too, if you guys like historical fiction and you got some recommendations for Amanda and I, we'd love to hear from that. And then one last thing, Amanda, to say about this, and maybe this is something we should look at going. The ball that I went to, the Grand Mass Ball, happens once a year in June. That's the rave. That's the big dance party and such. Now they do have one other event that they do at the Versailles once a year, and it's another masked ball. I'm sorry, it's another dressed ball where you have to dress in period of costume. You don't have to wear a mask for this one. And this one is actually held inside the Versailles. And it's held in the mirror room as well as some other rooms. And at this particular ball, they teach you how to do the dancing of the day. So where the ball that I went to was more of like the new music, the rave music in the period costume. The second one that they have that's held inside, you live for a night as if you were back in that time with learning how to do the dancing, from the foods. They even have card games and different things set up like that. So that might be an interesting one for us to check out together.
Oh, definitely. Sign me up.
So, thank you guys for coming on this journey with me. I had such a blast, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. But next week, Amanda, you're going to be sharing your bookage adventure to Key West and to Claus, which I don't even know what that is, but I cannot wait to hear about it.
I am looking forward to sharing that adventure with you and to all of our. Thank you, as always, for being part of our podcast. We look forward to connecting with you every week, and we invite you to join us on our social media pages, as well as to like and subscribe to us on YouTube, as well as your favorite podcast platforms. And you can find all of the information in our link tree.
And don't forget, we want to hear your own bookish adventures. Please either fill out the form in our link tree or email us your adventures at awobapodcast@gmail.com for a chance to have them shared on a future episode.
Until next time, read more books.
And then go explore.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.